the regular meeting of the Design Review Committee on Thursday, June 20th, 2024. I call the meeting to order at 5:07 PM. Lisa, please take a roll call.
Member Lapp, absent. Member Kavanaugh, absent. Member Martin,
Present.
Vice Chair Dryden Hess,
Present.
Chair Jacobson Bates.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, Jennifer, would you like to lead the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, is there anybody who would like to have anything? Well, first, let's have a motion to approve the order of the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Do I have a second, Mary Vaughn?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, having heard a motion and a second to approve the order of the agenda as presented, Lisa, roll call vote, please.
Member Lapp, absent. Member Kavanaugh, absent. Member Martin,
Yes.
Vice Chair Dryden Hess,
Yes.
Chair Jacobson Bates.
Yes.
Thank you.
So now we'll move on to consent items, and Lisa, will you please introduce those for us? This item?
Items on consent are typically routine and will be approved in one motion. The chair will call on anyone wishing to address the committee on any consent item on the agenda, which has not been pulled by the committee for discussion. Each speaker will be permitted to speak only once, and comments will be limited to a total of 3 minutes.
Okay, we'll start with in-person public comment first. Do we have anybody on Zoom? Oh, excuse me, anybody in the room? No? Now, anybody on Zoom? Committee members, do any of you have items that you would like to poll?
I do not.
Okay, Mary Vaughn?
So we speak of which one? The one with the color? Yes. Oui.
If I'm understanding correctly, you'd like to pull item 2C?
Yes.
Okay. So then can we have a motion to that effect, please?
Alors, me, I want to speak about the color.
Consent, yeah.
I bring a motion I move to remove item 2C from the consent agenda, please.
Do we have a second?
Yes.
Okay. Lisa, roll call vote, please.
Member Lapp, absent. Member Kavanaugh, absent. Member Martin,
Yes.
Vice Chair Dryden Hess,
Yes.
Chair Jacobson Bates.
Yes. Okay, then we're going to move on to public communications. No, do we go back? Please
Yeah.
clarify this for me.
You needed to hear item 2C.
Okay, thank you. So
Okay.
now we're moving to item 2C.
Okay, hold on. Do
Yes.
you have something to add?
Madam Chair, I just wanted to make it clear if the motion was to just remove item C or was it to approve the consent agenda without item C?
Yes, I do believe we need that clarified.
Apologies. I move to approve the consent agenda as presented with the exception, with removal of item 2C.
Do we have a second?
Yes.
Okay, do we need to, I think we'll do another roll call vote. Lisa, please.
Member Lapp, absent. Member Kavanaugh, absent. Member Martin,
Yes.
Vice Chair Dryden Hess,
Yes.
Chair Jacobson Bates.
Yes. Okay, that formality taken care of. Now we'll move on to item 2C, please. Staff report. I left my colors.
So item 2C is to approve a land use permit for 446 Alisal Road, Suite 11, for proposed signage of 2 wall signs, each 6 square feet in size, and 1 projecting sign, 3.75 square feet in size, and exterior paint for the door of the main entrance and side entrance of Craft and Create. The proposed project is categorically exempt from CEQA. So the applicant is opening a craft lounge at 446 Alisal Road. The proposed door color is the yellow shown in this photo right here. And then this is the logo that they are using for the branding of their business. The proposed projecting sign will be above the primary entrance of the business. It's approximately 3.7 square feet in size, made of wood, and will be painted. And the proposed signage is consistent with our sign code. They are not asking for any exceptions. The proposed exterior door color is a yellow called Isla Bonita. There is existing white trim on that door that they're going to leave as is. And this is going to be for the primary entry and for the second entry as well. And the proposed project is categorically exempt from CEQA. And the applicant is here if you guys have any questions.
Lisa, to clarify, there's one sample of the door yellow, so
Yes.
if you both got to see that or if you choose to see it in the light. Are there any other questions of staff?
I would have comments, but
Okay, we're going to open it up to public comment first. Anybody in the room who'd like to speak to this?
I'm here. My name is Joy Cully. I'm representing the applicant. I'm not the applicant, but I was involved in helping them with the process, so I'm here for questions if anybody has any. So,
Thank you. Any other comments in the room? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, we're going to close public comment and bring this item back to the committee for discussion. So comments.
okay, I'll go ahead then. Now, first of all, it's great. I love this business. It's about art, painting. Oh, so here. So it's a great addition to Solvang. Great business. I love art. Alors, I have some comments about the color. I love the color too, but maybe for the Danish point of view, maybe a little too contemporary. I printed something very Danish. See,
And we do have a book here as well. with some-
maybe you want to see, Lisa? There is all the palette of the colors they could use here. And it's totally Danish. Because see this yellow, compared to that, is kind of offensive. I think it would be better or this one. I think it's better for the business too. It would blend more in the Danish style. That's what I think. And the two white things, they're too sticking out. I think they should blend more. Also for a better aestheticism. So for the Danish point of view, I would do the yellow more yellow like that or like that, and use the color. Everything is here. The blue. This one should be redder. This one lighter. This one darker. It's here. Okay, I could leave it to you, Lisa, if that can help. It's what I think me on the Danish point of view. And not do the white because it's like it stick out. It would be better that it kind of blend with the brick. That's all I have to say.
Comments?
Think maybe, I don't know if this helps or hurts. I think the paint colors were representative of the sign colors only, the lettering and the signs. And as such, it's part of the logo, so it's not something we would be commenting on.
Ah, okay.
Okay. That's my understanding. And then as for me, as it relates, since this is the first time I am seeing Isla Bonita under the, is that the daylight light?
I think so.
That seems, yeah.
Lemony.
Yeah. I think it's got a lot of green in it, and the sweet lemon to me is kind of fresher. I actually thought it was going to be the sweet lemon that was in the sign, at least in the palette given to us. But I like the yellow door, and I like the white detailing in the yellow door. So for me, I'm good with. I'm actually less excited about this Isla Bonita. I like the sweet lemon with white. I think it would be really pretty. So that's my thoughts.
Okay, I think that it's wonderful to have a new business coming to town. Concept's great. The colors will attract attention. I'm sure that's the goal. As far as working with the kind of old world palette, they're definitely a lot more contemporary. It would be wonderful if I could see them, muted just a bit. The proposed Isla Bonita would be something that should probably be excluded from the palette. Sorry, I left my colors over there. Would you mind? Thank you. The sweet lemon is the color that is with our packet that I believe represents the logo colors. My request would be if the applicant would consider the sweet lemon with just a little bit of tone, maybe making it a little bit more muted to fit better within the context of the kind of more, the brick that's older, the kind of older style of the structure. And Joy, perhaps I don't know if you're in a place where you can speak to the applicant's, kind of concept and any of the comments that have been made here.
For sure. Can I see the color palette real quick? I don't.
Yeah, there's one right there. Yeah, I left mine there.
So this is the sweet lemon, right? Right.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I'm certain that they would be open to doing that color, and even as you said, maybe a slightly muted version. The other color that was discussed was the teal color, which was also in the sign. But I think they were concerned that might be perceived as too modern or too bright, so they kind of went with yellow. So ultimately they would have to for sure speak for themselves, but I think I feel comfortable enough saying that I think that this yellow would be fine. In fact, maybe it would be better because then it would match the sign. But then the question would be, in terms of muting it down, would that be like saying, hey, can you take that a shade down?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think, Lisa, would you consider sharing with them the book that's in front of you with the color palette from the colors in Copenhagen that's kind of in the middle there? You want to just open that page? Yeah. And I'm not sure, it's in the middle of the book. Well, there's a whole palette in there. Yeah. And the reason I was wanted you to take a look at that was there's hues that correspond with a lot of this. There's an example right there that Lisa's got for you.
Yeah, so it's almost, I see a couple different types of yellow here, but one of them is kind of like a light, bright lemon yellow. And then, of course, some more sort of like almost mustardy yellows or something like that. So I could see what you're thinking is maybe something like this toned down a little bit more like the lighter lemon color sort of.
Yeah, that was exactly my thoughts. And the color that kind of threw me was more the one that's called pink pizzazz in here. Again, not wanting to define your logo and not really having a purview on that, just comments for consideration in the environment in which this is all, the sign is going to be placed and how that's all going to work.
I just want to make sure I understand
Yes.
before I speak about it. I'm going to just compare. I just want to compare real quick, my,
And
oh, I
here-
see the pink and the purple both in the logo, yeah, right. I was thinking that maybe she had submitted one in place of the other, but that,
I believe there's kind of both in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yeah. And actually, to be honest with you, and now I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, but this sweet lemon, I think this is probably a backup color to the, that one, yeah. Because it's actually not in the logo.
Oh,
When I'm looking at the logo, it's just these colors here. Unless I'm wrong, let me look at a bigger picture of it. Yeah. I mean, okay,
Well,
it's kind of in the
it's
logo, in
five-
the art
yeah.
spot palette, but I don't think that is going to be like the hill anyone's going to die on. You know what I mean? That has to match exactly. So I would say, I suspect that she had this in there as a backup to the other color. So I feel comfortable saying that if this is okay for you, we could try to bring it down, like, I don't know, maybe 15, 20%, something like that. Would that make sense?
A couple values.
Yeah. You know, their idea, I think, you mentioned the window boxes. The window boxes are white already. And there was some discussion about painting them, but, you know, it's time consuming and it's kind of like, what does look really good on that you know, brick? Yeah. So they decided instead, let's see if we can pop that door out a little bit. It's kind of a dark little entry, you know, with the two boxes. So that's why she wanted to do a yellow color. But I
Actually,
think,
though, Joy, you just
yeah.
reminded me, the top of those window boxes.
yes.
Yeah.
My comment,
Yeah,
exactly.
So they really need to be stripped and prepared and repainted anyway.
yeah,
Maybe the tops could be in a contrast.
more like a rooftop or something, you think? Or
Yeah, that's what,
Yeah.
I believe that was what we had at one point with the prior occupant.
It never happened.
I
Yes.
see. Okay.
Yeah.
You mean kind of like the blue planter boxes next door?
Yeah, well, and you know, this is throwing a curveball into it, but the roof to make it kind of look like the old world.
Sure.
That's kind of, you know,
Yeah.
patinaed, does become a kind of a
Kind
turquoise
of a turquoise
color.
color, sure. Yeah. Yeah, right.
So, you know, perhaps that would be an alternative for consideration. So I'm not sure where that leaves us
Well,
tonight.
One thing I can speak for in terms of that, because I knew the prior owner and I'm the neighbor, and I've been involved with helping these guys get their stuff together. In terms of the window boxes, I think it's kind of a whose responsibility is in terms of the landlord and the tenant, and that's always a little bit of a gray area, right? So I think in a perfect world, every business owner would want to say, "Hey, we have all the money to do all these things, right?" And at the same time, trying to get the landlord to come on board with it and maybe help. So I think that with enough pressure, the landlord might be willing to do that. But I obviously can't speak for him, and I can't speak for the business owner as to whether they would want to incur the cost. Right now, they're leaving it as it is because that's what they can afford to do, and that it's existing. But I suspect they would be more than happy to have it look nicer because I know it's something that they don't love. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So in the picture, it looks okay, but we know what it looks like in person. So
And that was part of the prior occupant's
Requirement.
responsibility and
sure,
requirement.
yeah,
Yes.
right, which I wasn't
Yeah.
aware of, and I'm sure that the current tenant is probably unaware of that
Yeah,
as well.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So I guess then the question would be to door or not to door. I mean, obviously, most important in getting a business open, and this is what I'm always arguing about, the amount of time it takes. Sometimes it's just the signs, you know, because you're going to try to take advantage of the holiday season, the Christmas season. In this case, they're trying to get open by July 1st, so the summer season. So signs are really important. You know, I hate to make them come back, and I don't know. Are you guys having a July meeting? Yeah. You know, I know that they're eager to get the door looking nice. It looks pretty ratty right now.
But I would suggest
Yeah.
that we move to approve the lemon or a variation thereof by 2, gradations down with approval of staff.
Okay.
Yeah, so that they can move forward and not
Okay.
have to come
And they
back.
don't have to come here.
And then I'll let them know, you know, if they decide, you know, it would be urged to maybe do something with that roof. And maybe if that becomes a thing and they decide to do something, maybe they come back and we look at
Sure.
a different color for the door or something like
Yeah,
that.
so if
Okay.
they want to go with more of that kind
Okay.
of, you know, turquoise kind of
Sure.
patina look, which I think would be very nice.
Yeah.
Sure, then they could come back.
Okay.
with Yeah,
That sounds good. I think they would agree with that.
okay, so then, do I have a motion?
Yeah, so I move to approve as submitted with lemon yellow as the door and some variation to that, either that or two colors lighter, levels, hues lighter, which will be ultimately reviewed with staff and approved without our further approval.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, Lisa?
Member Lapp, absent. Member Kavanaugh, absent. Member Martin,
Yes.
Vice Chair Dryden Hess,
Yes.
Chair Jacobson Bates.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. Okay. All right. All right, now we will move on to item 3A. Staff report, please.
Public comment?
On 3A?
No, in general.
Oh, okay. So now we'll open it up to public comment. Anybody in the room?
For items not on the agenda.
Now we'll open up for public comment for items not on the agenda. Is there anyone in the room that would like to speak to that? Anybody on Zoom? Now we're going to go ahead and close the public comments and move on to item 3A. Staff report, please.
Thank you.
Technical problems.
If not, we'll go Sam's.
It's unfortunate because we were just getting it from our laptop.
Yeah. Let's see if it works.
If you have this presentation, probably better don't do that. See yours again? You're good? So as soon as you go to present, we should be fine. All right. I got it.
All right, so this is the project for you this evening is 1529 Mission Drive, a proposed roof. Next slide. So this is existing building at 1529 Mission. As you can see, these are pictures of the existing wood shingle shake roof. Next slide. So the applicant is proposing re-roof as the existing wood shingle shake is at the end of its useful life. Wood shingle shake roofing is prohibited by the California Building Code in high fire danger areas throughout most areas of California. The use of composition roofing, which is what the applicant is proposing, is permitted if it emulates the appearance of authentic historic materials per the adopted design guidelines. The use of such materials shall further the architectural appearance and integrity of the building as it relates to the building's location on the site of its surroundings. Next slide. So in your staff report, there is a picture of the proposed roofing material. We actually do have the roofing material available for you as well here in person if you'd like to see it. Next slide. And so based on previous re-roofs, including ones we took to the DRC a few months back, some of these re-roofs have been approved at staff level, particularly when they're utilizing architectural grade shingles, which is shown in your PowerPoint there on the right-hand side. So city staff does not believe that the proposed materials are of an architectural grade. So therefore, the planning manager, consistent with the Solvang Municipal Code, is seeking direction from the DRC regarding the re-roof material. With that, I'll open up to discussion from the members of the DRC.
Okay, any questions, committee members?
To clarify, the proposed asphalt shingle material is just a layover with no architectural articulation?
So the applicant can answer this question in a minute, but it's staff assumption that is what we call a tear off. So they tear off the wood shake
Yeah.
completely and then use the just the basic grade.
Can you show us, please, the sample? Okay, and can you show us a sample of what is meeting guidelines?
Okay, but on the submittal from the applicant, it lays double over, so it actually lays like, it doesn't look like that. When it's multiple
That's a question you'll have to
layer.
ask the
It
applicant.
doesn't look like that. That's what I'm trying to get at.
You would have to ask the applicant.
Okay, all right. I would love to hear that or see that.
Yeah, are there other questions of staff? Okay, now we can open up to public comment, and anybody in the room would like to speak to that? I think the applicant's here. Come on up. If you'd identify yourself and tell us
Hi,
about
my
it.
name's Al Larson, and I am the owner, along with my brother. The building is in trust, our family trust, but we've been here since 1964, owned that building since then. And I brought a picture of what we're doing. Can I submit this to you? This is Paula's Pancake House, which is right next door. It addresses what you talked about. It is overlay. The thing that I wanted to do, there's 6 buildings on Mission Drive that have that particular asphalt shingle. It's actually a double shingle, and what I was mentioning and what I wanted to propose is, I've seen the buildings that have the one that's currently approved by staff and or allowed by the DRC so that it could be over-the-counter approval by staff. The only thing that I was objecting to was, this is a heavy shingle. It's double layer. And as you can see on the picture there of Paula's, which was approved by the DRC not too long ago, that was re-roofed, and it's as close to a heavy shake as you can get. And through all the years, when I sat on the Architectural Review Board, which is what it was called then, and City Council and whatnot, we were trying to do exactly what you're doing, and I'm all in favor of it. And that's kind of getting as close to that heavy shake look as you can without using shakes, because that's obviously no longer available. And that's what I like about this particular shake. It's made by the same company. It's just an upgraded version, and it gives you more definition. So when you see it from the side or any side, it gives off the shadow, and you have a heavy shake look, as opposed to the sample board of, I forget what they call it, but that. That is a much more flat roof, and you don't get that heavy shake look. So there's 6 buildings, Earl Peterson's old buildings that he's done, and he's done a lot for the city of Solvang with all of the buildings he's done. That's the same, that what I'm proposing is the same. We're not gonna be using the same color. We're gonna go to a darker shingle, so it doesn't match exactly Paula's.
That was my question. So this is a slight variation. It's complementary, but
Yes.
not the same. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, and the Solvang Motel across the street has the same, and then Peterson, I don't even know what they're called anymore, but Peterson Square, that's on the corner of Mission and Alisal has the same, Brecky's has the same. It's a very high quality. It's much more expensive than what is being proposed or what was offered us over the counter, and so that's why I'm here, is to seek your approval to match what some of the others are, and it looks great on Paula's. I have a picture of before and after of Paula's, and I have a picture of what ours looked like as well, if you want to see those.
Sure, I'd be happy.
Yeah,
I would love to see them, whatever you have.
yeah. bring it up. I think that it also is almost it's most closely resembles the existing shake, which it seems as that's your goal. And I have this on my house,
Yeah, it's
a
architectural
variation,
shingle.
yeah.
So if you can see the bakery,
Yeah.
the first picture that you saw, that's
Yeah, Alan, will you talk, yeah, just so for public comment, please?
Yeah.
So the first picture that I gave you is Paula's with the shake that I'm requesting, and you can see the Danish Village Bakery with the old, with what we have today.
Yeah.
So it shows you good contrast in it, and it's a nice look, and both Paula's as well as Danish Village Bakery has that
Slope.
1528 building has that curve that you get with the real thatch, like that's on the corner of, I don't even know, First Street and Copenhagen,
Yeah, with the real thatch.
which we approved over 40 years ago, and it went down to a 3-2 vote because everybody was worried they didn't think it was going to last the 30 years that the people said it would, and it's now over 40 years there, and it still looks good.
It
Anyway,
does.
thanks for what you do. It's a thankless job. I did your job for a couple of years.
Thank you.
City council, and I loved all the comments and the dialogue and being able to see people that care talk about. I love the last choice of the lemon versus the other color.
Yeah.
It works much better with the white as well.
Can you indulge me for 1 second, just for my knowledge? With this shingle material that you are suggesting, can you tell me if there's a thickness to it so that I'm aware for future? Like, is there a?
It's double thick. Can I show you the sample?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But I want to understand it from a specification perspective, so I
asked that for a board like this.
Yeah.
I didn't have
that's
it.
okay.
But if you can see the
Yeah.
thickness, it's a double thick on
Yeah.
the tails.
Right.
He can talk you can talk into her mic otherwise. Yeah.
I just wondered if there was a way to refer to it so that if it comes up again.
Right.
We're knowledgeable about how we respond in terms of this specification. So is it called some things, but
Yes, Raphael has the exact name. It's the exact same company as
Do you want me to
this,
put it over here?
and it spells out in the
it does
application
have
what
a,
it's,
it does have a thickness to it.
to the
It's-
top.
Yeah.
Raphael and I were trying to figure out how, because I brought two in, and the roofer showed me how it was laid out,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not a roofer, and neither Raphael or I could get it figured out, but
They
that's exactly
stagger,
what's
they
on there.
stagger.
They
Yeah.
stack,
Yeah,
and they,
yeah,
they-
stack.
I don't know, they offset them as they go, so it does have a nice look to it.
Yeah,
A nice
But
dimensionality.
we couldn't figure out
dimensional.
how they went
Yeah.
together at the
In the office.
the office.
But that's great because you have the specs, and I think our request from staff will be, please make note of those specs, so we have that for future, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we weren't able to figure out how they went together.
That's
but
okay.
But we've got, our
Yeah,
illustrations are very helpful, and we are, kind of familiar with this.
Yeah,
Okay, anything else that you'd like to add?
no, thank you. Thanks for your consideration.
All right.
Sure, I move to approve.
Well, hold on a
Oh,
second.
oh,
Because any other comments in the room? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, we're going to close the public comments, and now,
Okay. Now I move to approve as submitted, item, it says, which one, what item, what number?
3,
4A, yeah,
that one.
4A, which was the action to issue a land use permit for 1529 Mission Drive to allow tear-off and re-roof using asphalt composition materials as presented.
3A on here. Do we have a second?
Yes, they come.
Okay, Lisa, roll call vote, please.
Member Lapp, absent. Member Kavanaugh, absent. Member Martin,
Yes.
Vice Chair Dryden Hess,
Yes.
Chair Jacobson Bates.
Yes.
Thank you.
Making town look beautiful and keeping it
Safe.
safe and interior dry. So, thank you. All right.
Raphael does a great job.
Thanks, Raf, and Lisa, too.
Want me to get rid of the shingle?
Do you want, here.
No, we'll keep it for a sample, and then again, very similar to the last re-roof, we'll put it into the repertoire of over-the-counters based on this discussion and Mr. Larson's explanation, and we'll include that in material. So again, trying to streamline these re-roofs, obviously, because again, the question just came up of getting the opinion from the DRC, so I appreciate that.
Would you like a sample board like this from the company? 'Cause
Okay, all right. Thank you.
oh,
Yeah.
did you give me the picture?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oui. Yes.
all right. Okay, I think we're moving on to, I've got to find my agenda here. I think we're at committee comments. All right, so now we're on to committee member comments. Any comments? Mary Vaughn, any comments today? Jennifer?
I don't know if we're going to discuss it, but about the timing of the July meeting.
Yes, I believe staff is addressing that and their comments that are coming
Okay, great.
up next. So yes,
Nothing further from me.
okay. Bye, thank you. I do have a request for staff, if you could look into potentially working with the applicant, or excuse me, with the property owner of the Alaskal Square project where the sign was just approved on a potential sign plan. I'm not sure how that works out, but to work with the owners on a discussion regarding the proliferation of signs and some that appear to be new and non-compliant. In particular, there's one board with multiple business signs on it. And then also potentially a discussion about those little bump outs and the roof that needs to be painted there. Yeah, the window boxes. Thank you. It's such a high-profile
Wouldn't that be
location.
meeting a standard of like a good quality standard? Do we have anything like that in the?
Yes.
We'll look
zoning?
into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you could work with that, that would be good. And I know it's been a bit of a challenge on some of the properties, just keeping them compliant with maintenance, especially on undeveloped properties, and hoping that there can be attention paid to that as well. It's been the year of trimming the grasses, and then trimming the grasses, and trimming the grasses, and still needing to trim the grasses. So that's my request. Then we'll move on to city staff comments, please.
Yes, thank you. So we do have items that are lined up for your next meeting on July 18th. One of them is what we're calling a workshop. It's in regards to the zoning ordinance amendments. So if you did not know, the general plan was recommended by the Planning Commission in their June meeting. So this item actually goes to the City Council on July, sorry, I'm jumping around here, on July 8th. So as a dovetail to that is we need to begin what's called implementation of the general plan through our zoning ordinance, and that's updating those. And we're trying to update those as quickly as we can. So this workshop is scheduled for the 18th to go over some of the development standards that are being proposed, and hopefully there is a very rough outline of preliminary objective design standards for the design districts that are proposed in the general plan. So that's Design District 1, the Village Core, Design District 2, the Mission Theme District. So that will be on the 18th. Because of that, we do have other items on the agenda. And so I wanted to poll the DRC members this evening to see if they are available on 7/25. So what we would do is we would hold the meeting on the 18th, and we would continue it to a date certain, which would be the 25th, for the two other larger weighty items, which would be Den Market Square, and that's coming back to the DRC, which was previously heard back in, I believe, March. And then Rossman's building, they're proposing, the applicant is proposing new paint scheme there. So those would be two separate items, but under the same agenda. So just want to see if you are available for 7/25 as well.
The fourth Thursday, third Thursday for the workshop, and the fourth Thursday for the heavier elements.
Correct.
Right, so I will be absent on the 18th, but I will be here on the 25th. I can be here on the 25th.
Correct. And you can provide comments via email, because again, it's a workshop.
Yep,
And
perfect.
so.
I can do that,
would
as
work.
long as I have them before the 8th.
Yeah.
But I can be here on the 25th. I've already changed my calendar.
Mary Vaughn, are you available on the 25th of July?
Yes.
And I did ask our member Pat Kavanaugh, and he said he would be available on July 25th.
So I did email the other two separate committee members who are not present, but again, so we'll just plan for that as, again, those are trying to break up, but at the same token, continue to move the applicants along, particularly the Den Market Square project. With that being said, other sort of good news is the senior center. That's been working with Public Works counterparts, Roger, and we're very pleased to say that the senior center has, the building permit has been approved, and the grading permits are both ready to be issued. So the senior center folks are now working with the county to get the green light to get going. But that sort of closes that chapter and begins a new one. So we're pretty happy to see that project moving forward. And then again, the other bigger one is our zoning ordinance updates. And as we go into this workshop, it's just one of those things where we want to have an open mind, and I'll get into this in a minute, because if we almost need to put something in place today versus waiting and kicking it, even if it's not the strongest, but at least it adheres to what's been done in the community character design guideline, because there are a couple potential projects that are wanting to submit, and we want to make sure that they adhere to the new community character guidelines. In order to adhere to those, we need to have those in much more objective standard. So I'll leave it at that. And with that concludes my update.
As a DRC member and chair, I am actually relieved to hear that there's motion being made on putting those standards and putting them into place. So that's good. If you can say I'm looking forward to a workshop, I guess I am.
Is there any homework that we could be doing? Because
The reality is there could be. If you look at the community character, and again, objective standards are just that, they're objective. So a great example is, materials. So if alternative materials of the old world style, having sort of that just framework of, brick, stone, where would it be placed at, et cetera. And then color schemes is another big one. And we've had, other applicants say, well, look, your colors, they're come out of a book, where is it codified? So again, that would be another thing to assist is what are those colors, and I'd have to talk to the city attorneys about this. But, can it be adopted through an appendix and modify, or through a handbook, and then we just put the colors on there. So there's some things that we can get done now, but again, I'm going to advise both the DRC and the Planning Commission, this is not perfection. And there's a reason to that, because you want these in place now. Because if we don't have these in place, some of these projects, particularly residential projects, can continue to pull on through without much consideration to all the hard work that the GPAC has done over the last 3 years.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I think that our work in particular, we labored over the design element of the community, or of the general plan, and I think a lot of that feeds into what we'll be discussing at the workshop.
Correct. And again, these are, and these objective standards are more so for residential projects and those with the residential component more so than commercial, because again, in the commercial, we can capture the guidelines through the general plan. That's not a problem. We can't with residential, so that's the other
Okay.
big kicker is remembering that.
All right, that's a good last word there. So that said, I believe that concludes our meeting, and we will see you in July on the 18th and the 25th. So I call the meeting adjourned at 5:51.